Hello everyone, welcome back. Doing a little bit of a workshop diary here for you today at 4 Wheel Drive UK. We've done a couple of these, a lot of people quite liking them. I know we're not getting the views that we do on the action videos, but we try to cater for everybody, you know, we try to do our bit for everyone. So what we've got on here today is on Dora, on the D2, and we've got a terrible noise, terrible whining noise. And what I've done is I've basically narrowed it down to the bearing. Behind that, I don't know whether you can see in there, just behind the fan, on the fan pulley, there's a bearing that sits tight in that casing in there. See if we can get a, just behind that there, in the casing itself, in the engine case, there's a bearing that sits in there. And that's the one that's gone. I checked it out a little while ago, well I'll say a little while ago, last week. I had the belts off, thought it was a tensioner, and it's not, it's actually that pulley. So what we're going to do, I'll show you step by step, well as step by step as I can, because as you know, I am no mechanic. I am no mechanic. So let's have a look, let's see if we can get it out. I have done one of these once before, long time ago, many moons ago. So let's go, let's see what we can get. Close up on this burger. That's a folded joint in there normally. Take the viscous fan off. Much easier if you've got the correct spanners. They're not expensive, but look, I don't know, probably a 10, 15 quid, something like that. Maybe more, I don't know. I'm old, I can't remember these things. This one here locks off the pulley. So you can see the 3 holes, fit over 3 of the bolts for the pulley. Holds the pulley in place, and then you span it and take it off. Okay, so there somewhere. So that's a locking spanner on. It shouldn't take much really to get the fan off. There you go. They don't need to be tight. There's no need for ragging these things up really tight. The way the fan runs will always tighten itself up anyway, so it's not going to come off, you know. And simply unscrew that. Take that fan out of the way. I think that fan's had better days as well, to be honest. We might change that while we've got it off. So, next job now, to take the serpentine belt off, which is nice and easy. I'm sure you've all done this before. 15mm socket onto the tensioner down there. Take the tension off, belt will just pop off. So we'll just do that. Okay, so 15mm ratchet. That simply pops onto the bolt in the middle of the tension pulley. And then, obviously have your socket going the right way, that helps. Then you simply pull that up, set the tension off the belt, and the bolt fall off. So let's get that off. Now, if you're not doing this regular, just take note of which way round the belt went. I mean, I've had this off so many times, I could probably do it in my sleep. But just make sure you remember which way around that goes. Okay, so next job now is to actually take off the pulley itself. So you can see the belt's off. Now then, this pulley here, so we need to take out these 3 bolts. In the centre there, because you can see that's just going to spin. And you can see, well you can see, but you can certainly hear that. That's the bearing behind it that's gone. So in the centre here, there's a 12mm hex socket. So what you need to do basically is put a 12mm hex socket in there with a breaker bar on it and undo these 3 bolts. That'll allow us then to get that pulley off. Okay, so we'll just go and do that. So that's the 3 bolts out there that hold the pulley on. The pulley should now pop off. That's a little bit tight there. You can't just get something behind it to prise it out. Well, that should just pop off. It seems to just pop off on the Land Rover. There you go. A little bit of persuasion. And that's our pulley off. Now then, this is where it starts to get a bit awkward. As you can see down here now, the bearing we need to replace is behind that flange there. So we need to wind that out now. So I'll just get set up for that and I'll show you exactly how we're set up and what we're going to do to get it out. Okay, so you can see the setup there now. What I've done is bolted the fan spanner that we used, the eBay fan spanner, with the 3 bolts there onto the pulley, and you can see the hex bit is there in the middle. Okay, so that's holding that there. What we need to do now is we need to break the thread between those because that's basically threaded onto there. Okay, so the way to do that is to hold this one and turn this one clockwise, and that should break the seal. Okay, so we hold that one there and go clockwise. Oh, look at that. Meant. Oh, that came off nice and easy. Much easier than I was expecting. So what we need to do now is to keep winding that out to get the flange to come all the way off. And then behind that flange is the bearing that we're after. And what we need, what we're looking for is the circlet that's holding the bearing in. So let's just get this flange off and we'll see if we can get a closer look at what we're dealing with down there. Okay, so there it is, off. I'll leave that on there for now. I'll tell you why in a moment. So inside here, it's very mucky and manky. But inside there somewhere, oh yeah, there is, there's a circlip. Which I feel is going to be a nightmare to get out. So, let's see if we can give it a clean up first. So, let's see. I don't know. Oh, I can see the circlip now. So there is actually a circlip. Let's see if I can just show you that. You might have noticed Connor's just turned up. Bit of luck of getting to do a bit of filming. Taking the piss more like. Right, so let's have a quick look in here. See if I can show you. Don't know whether you can actually see. Just in there. There's the circlip right there that holds on, or holds in the bearing. So what we need to do now is remove that circlip and then using that flange that we took off before, this one with the spanner, We'll then put that back on and wind it back in. And what that will do is pull the bearing out of the case. That's what we hope it'll do. So, so that's the bit I was dreading. And to be fair, it came out quite easily.
Wasn't bad that at all.
Wouldn't have if we hadn't had it, you know. So, you know. So, as we said before, what I'm going to do now is put this back on and wind it the opposite way, which should then pull the bearing out of the case. We hope. So, just to show you what's actually happening here, as you can see, I've had to put 2 spacers in. I've used 2 5mm flat bars. You need to make sure that the bearing can get past that. Okay, and then what we're basically doing then is winding that back in. As we wind that in, it should pull the bearing out. That's the plan. You know what they say about the best laid plans? But it seems that is actually working. And you see the end of the bearing. What a beautiful sight. Spacers have just dropped out. Good job. And what you should end up with is something like that. So, those are my spacers that I used. That's what you're going to end up with. Okay, so this is the bearing. Yeah. Listen. That bearing is shot. So we now need to get the bearing off the shaft, because the shaft we need to reuse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and have a nice tidy up. A nice big swig of Monster, and we'll get back to you in a bit. Okay, so what happened there is the battery ran out on the camera as I was refitting the bearing. So I'll just show you, it's a pretty straightforward thing. I'm sure you've all fitted bearings before. So I'll just show you, that's the new bearing in situ now. Circle it back in. So the recommended way of doing that is to take the old one out, press it off, which we did, using the press there. Took the old one out, press the new one on. And then the recommended way is to put the new bearing and shaft in the freezer for 20 minutes. However, we don't have a freezer here at the unit, so we improvised. And we used some of this stuff. Worked really well, you know, down to -35. We did try this stuff first. I'm not really sure why that didn't work, probably because we didn't have the engine hot enough. So what we basically did is warmed up the engine, the socket on the engine with a map torch, cooled down the bearing and popped it in. So now it's just a straightforward reassemble from what we did before. So we'll just pop it all back together. Flange back on. Torch would be helpful. It is better if you can see what you're doing usually, you know. So, flange back on. So to screw that back on, obviously we send it anti-clockwise. This also, for obvious reasons, needs thread lock. It's holding your fan on. So, bit of thread lock. Don't need a massive amount, but just make sure that there's enough there to go all the way around. Give it a second to just run down. It'll find its own way around all the threads. And then pop the 12mm hex in the end. And wind it back in. Connor's whispering over there, thinks I can't hear him. Show it to the camera, go on. Connor looks after his car well, look, that's his rear diff.
That's the fill plug.
That's the fill.
Yeah. Crown and pinion.
Crown and pinion's goosed. Which we pretty much knew when we took it apart, let's be honest. And we like building lockers here, Connor.
Yeah.
We like building lockers.
Golden double. I don't know, there's literally no oil in it as well. I don't know where
That
the
won't
oil's
help.
gone.
You don't need oil, it's overrated. That's right.
I just don't know where it's gone.
Well overrated.
Probably blown out the breathers. Got that hot, it's blown out the breather.
Probably.
Connor having trouble with his diff. Unusually. So, like I was saying, before I was rudely interrupted by these people, it's just a matter of reassembly, exactly reverse of what we did to take it apart. When you get this flange back on, like I say, to go back on, you want to be tightening it down anti-clockwise, which then puts the flange on clockwise. Bit daft, I know. So wind that all the way back, get it nice and tight. Nice and tight. Yeah. It's as tight as I can get it. So then, we remove the fan removal tool. That one's a bit tight.
I should do that one then. They probably know I've done. I'm not sure then. If it's looking at the state of it, we've got it up to the
I'm not saying anything.
Off with the fan spanner. Keep that there for later. Now I need to put the pulley back on. So, pulley, 3 bolts. Getting the wind up's a nightmare. One in. Bit of a bad back today, you know. Bit of a bad back today. Trying to say I've got a glass back or something. I don't have to come here to get abuse, you know. Get it at home and everywhere. So 3 bolts back in the pulley. Using the 12mm hex bit there. You can hold the pulley then. Hold that steady, and you tighten up the 3 bolts. Okay, well, like you can see there, we didn't really have all the footage we'd like to have had. What went on there is I tried to be a bit of a smart arse, to be honest, and tried to do that on my own without Connor. Never mind, eh? What actually happened is the battery ran out on the camera. But I did fix it. It is fixed, I promise. Look, all done. So all in. I think you got the general gist of what was going on there. If not, then stick us a comment down below, eh? Ask us any questions you've got. I'm certainly not taking it out again to do it again. That's for certain. So, it was a bit of a disaster, but hopefully you'll get the gist of what I was doing there. And it'll be helpful for somebody, maybe. Or if not, you might just laugh at me being a tit. Either way, I hope you enjoy it. So, if you did, don't forget now, like, subscribe, ring the little bell down there, isn't it? Ding, ding, a ding, whatever you do, ring the bell, and you'll know exactly when we're putting stuff out. And keep with us, stick with us here. We will be putting some more action videos out. Things have just been a little bit, what can we say, busy maybe, very busy maybe. All sorts of stuff we've had to do on the cars here to get them all ready for the summer season. First of the big camps out is this weekend. You'll be seeing that very shortly. Oh, and that's going to be one to look for. So don't forget, stay with us, like, subscribe, share, make everyone see it. Thanks for your time. Locks out the pulley. Camera's just fell over. That's good. God, you're going to have some editing to do here, Connor. So it's still recording, it is. Spreadsheet engineer's back.
Engineer's back.
Go through the hole in the pallet.